Welcome to the Stage 2 grammar video. This is all about the nominative and accusative. Now, just to tell you, looking at your green grammar sheet, you'll notice that there are essentially three parts. There's definition, recognition, and translation, but there's also a box over to the right-hand side called additional notes. I usually like to start these grammar videos by looking at things in English before we flip over to Latin, and you can jot some things down in the additional notes. You will know when to start writing definitions when we actually define these terms, nominative and accusative. So for now, just write what's on these first few slides in the additional notes. So here we go. So far in Latin, in our Latin journey, we've seen nouns used in three ways as the subject of a sentence, as in Caecilius greets his friend, Caecilius amicum salutat, as a predicate noun, as in Caecilius is the father, Caecilius est pater, with that linking verb there, and as the object of a preposition, as in Caecilius is in the study, Caecilius est in tablino. Well then, in stage 2, in the model sentences that we looked at today, you notice something different. Here's Caecilius, he's in the atrium, but then look at this one, amicus Caecilium salutat. Whoa, the friend, amicus is the subject now. Caecilium here, the um indicates that he is being acted upon. The friend greets Caecilius. Caecilius there is the direct object. Same here with Metella. She's in the atrium, but then in this sentence, amicus Metellam salutat, she is now the direct object. The friend is the subject. The friend greets Metella. Same here with Quintus. He's in the atrium, Quintus, but then in this sentence, awkward, the friend greets Quintus. Look at that, amicus Quintum salutat. Looking at a few more, servus est in atrio, the slave is in the atrium, versus amicus servum salutat, the friend greets the slave. So servus versus servum. Here, the slave, Clemens, is the direct object. And finally, canis est in atrio, our ribcage malnourished dog, Cerberus, is in the atrium, versus amicus canem salutat, the friend greets the dog, direct object. So what did you notice? I hope that you noticed that certain words in Latin change their endings depending on how they're used in a sentence. And this is sort of like the key concept of understanding Latin. It is an inflected language, and what that means is that words in Latin, specifically nouns and verbs, change their endings to express different things. So what will that look like in terms of nouns, since that's what we're focusing on right now? We'll get to verbs in stage 4. Well, here it is. Nouns in Latin have what are called cases, and I know that may sound crazy, but it's a technical grammatical term, and I want to make sure that we're using the technical grammatical term so that we're all on the same page. Well, what do we mean by case? Well, the case is simply the spelling of a noun depending on how it's used in a sentence. You know, last stage we identified basically 6 different ways that nouns can be used in English, or in Latin for that matter, and that would be the subject, predicate noun, direct object, prepositional phrase like object of a preposition, indirect object, and possession. So in Latin we say that the case is the way the noun is spelled depending on how it's being used in one of those 6 ways. There are 5 major cases in Latin. We're going to focus on the first 2 all the way up until about stage 8 or 9. So I'm not even going to talk about these 3 down here right now. So here are 2 major cases. The nominative case, that is the way the noun is spelled when it is the subject of the sentence or when it's the predicate noun. And then the accusative case, that's the way the noun is spelled when it's the direct object of a sentence. So how do you recognize the nominative? Well, when you memorize a noun for the very first time on your vocab list, it is always going to be spelled in the nominative way. Here are the examples from your stage 2 vocab list. Amicus, ancilla, cena, cibus, dominus, mensa, mercator, toga, tunica. Those are all nominative. And by the way, since it's the subject of a sentence, usually, it's the first word of the sentence, or if it's the predicate noun, it's the noun that comes right after est, as in caecilius est pater. So that's how you recognize the nominative. Well, what about the accusative? Here I've listed several nominative nouns and their accusative counterparts, and I'm sure you're going to see the pattern really quickly. Metella versus metellam. Ancilla versus ancellam in the accusative. Caecilius in the nominative, caecilium when he's used as the direct object, aka he's in the accusative case. Cocuus versus cocuum. Grumio versus grumionem. Canis versus canem. So obviously, how do you recognize the accusative? It's the letter M that pops up. And the accusative noun, being the direct object, is usually found in the middle of a sentence. Basic Latin word order. Nominative subject, followed by accusative direct object, followed by action verb. Whoa. Now some of you who are really, really, really astute might have seen some other patterns, as in a and am, and us and and then something kind of weird, but they both end in em. Just tuck that away. We're going to add to these notes in stage 3 when we talk about noun families. So last but not least, let's take a look at some examples. So look at these first two. Mercator matrem salutat. Well, mercator, that's how I learned the noun and the noun list. That is the nominative spelling, so it's the subject. Matrem has an M at the end of it, so therefore mother here must be the direct object. The merchant greets the mother. Now look at the second sentence. Mater mercatorem salutat. Whoa, first word of the sentence. It's also how I learned it initially in stage 1. This is the nominative spelling, subject. Mercatorem, whoa, ends in an M, got to be the accusative direct object. The mother greets the merchant. And now we have amicus grumionem spectat. The friend watches Grumio. Creepy. But then at number 4, Grumio, he's the subject. His name is spelled nominatively. And then amicum, the friend, is the direct object. This is the accusative spelling, the um. So subject, direct object, verb. Grumio watches the friend. And then we have metella quentum vituperat. Metella curses out Quintus. Oh boy. And then Quintus metellam vituperat. Here she is the direct object, and he is the nominative subject. Quintus curses out metella. And then finally, two last examples. Caecilius est pater. We have nominative Caecilius and also nominative pater. Caecilius being used as the subject, pater as the predicate noun, because the nominative case is also used for predicate nouns, and there's our linking verb. And then quintus patrem laudat. See, pater, nominative, patrem, accusative, with that M. Quintus praises the father. Well, that's it for nominative and accusative. I really like you guys so far. Keep up the good work.